Hey, Appmixer 6.5 is out, and it's our biggest update yet. We've got a new designer canvas, AI Copilot that builds flows with natural language, flow testing, versioning and drafts, and error handling on every step. So let's dive right in. Just a quick note before we get into the big things, we've improved filtering on the flow and template list, so you can now clearly see if a filter is applied, such as here, and then you can apply, of course, more filters, such as this one, and clear those filters easily like that. A small upgrade, but definitely helps a lot. So diving into our new canvas, it has got a new visual upgrade. So we've got hover effects, animations, and fresh new colors. It looks very familiar to our old designer canvas, but it's much more modern, more responsive. Overall, great upgrade that takes your embedded automations to the next level and gives your users modern UI that they would expect. A quick note about the canvas layout. If you're an existing customer and you're using the top to bottom layout, please switch to the left to right layout, and please use the auto align button that's down right here. If you click that, the diagram will be auto aligned automatically and cleans up any mess that might be appearing because of switching from the top to bottom to left to right layout. Another major new upgrade is testing. You'll see this test button right here. If I hit that, it's going to execute a test. You can see the status of each step within the flow. So I can click this status icon and browse the preview of the data that has passed through that step. I can do that with every single step. And if you want to see the full details of that test run, I can click this View Logs button here. Now this gives you full details of that test run, something that you're used to from our previous release where we've upgraded the logs view. Another major new upgrade that works nice with testing is our versioning and draft system. So whenever you've tested your flow and you're happy with it, you can just hit activate and this will publish it and make it live. Now the flow is running, it's automatically looking for new emails and sending any matching messages to a Slack channel of my choice. Now I want to edit this flow and make some changes, but I don't want to stop the running flow so that I don't lose anything that's in progress or might come in the meantime while I'm editing my flow. And so I'll hit edit. This will create a draft, and now I'm working on a draft version of this flow while the active flow is still running and processing new messages in the background. You can see the draft indication right here, and you'll also notice this new versions button right here. If I click that, I can open our versioning panel where you can see we have this active version and this draft version. While I'm working on my draft, any changes will be auto-saved, which is also indicated here. And at any time, I can also manually create snapshots of any work that I want to do. So you've got the automatically created active version and draft version, but you can also manually create any snapshots of your current working state. For example, I want to save this version with Slack channel message 1 and save that. It's going to appear here in the versioning panel. And of course, browse the versions that I have. So I can switch over to the active version and I'll see what's running and I can browse the setup, or I can open this manually created version. Now let's say I want to restore a previous version. I can do that from this context menu. If I hit restore and I already have an existing draft, this is gonna ask me if I want to overwrite the draft. Because one thing to note about our draft system, when you have an active flow and a draft, there can only be one draft at a time that's gonna be replacing the active running flow. So if I hit restore, it's gonna ask me if I want to replace the draft, which I will do. Automatically created a backup so that I don't lose any progress that I already had on my draft previously. Right, so that's our versioning system. We can close that. Now we can make some changes and we can then publish them to see how that works. For example, adjust the message. So new feature for our core integrations team. Let's say this is a message for a different team, so I might adjust the filters as well. But since I have made changes, now the publish changes button is enabled. So if I hit that, the changes were propagated and now the active flow is replaced with a draft version and I can see that it's running. And of course I can anytime check my version history, restore previous versions, work with drafts, and so on. The feature I'm most excited about is our new AI Copilot. So let's build a new flow completely. Whenever you're building a new flow, you basically have two options. You can build manually and choose your trigger, or build with AI. If you click this, see the AI Copilot panel appear here on the left side, and then you can just give any prompt to it. It's going to build any flow for you. It's also able to read and edit existing flows. It is also draft aware, so if you have an active flow and you want to make changes to it, the AI Copilot will create a draft and make those changes in the draft. And it can also explain flows. So imagine your colleague leaves the company, and there are some flows that this person has made, and if you don't understand them, you can just ask the Copilot to explain those to you. So let's give the Copilot a prompt and see it in action. For example, we might build something such as a flow that looks for new deals in HubSpot and sends a Slack notification to our team channel. Now the Copilot will read all the connectors it has access to within your instance, and then it's going to build the right flow for you and explain any steps that you need to take to make it work. It describes the flow it has just built, how many steps it has, and anything you need to do before activation, and also any notes that might be useful to you before you successfully activate that flow. Notice that these are red right now because they're missing something, and that's another upgrade we've made in our designer. So any validations, so that means anything that's missing, anything you need to set up, will be aggregated here. And so for HubSpot, an entry right here, and if I click that, it's going to open HubSpot and I'll see what I'll need to do, which is connecting my account. Of course, also ask Copilot to make changes to my flow. I can make this into a flow that will look for emails that contain the keyword invoice. Also notice that if the Copilot makes changes, it's going to save my previous work into version history so that I don't lose it. So if I open the versioning panel that we've seen before, I'm going to see that there are some backups that the Copilot has made so that I don't lose any progress accidentally. This flow is just missing the account and Slack configuration, so I'll just do that quickly in the background. Setup is complete. I can test and activate the flow or work with drafts, anything that I need. One quick note about the AI Copilot, we've added an AI usage page here under Insights, where you can see the daily spend and the total spend in a given period, number of requests, as well as detailed breakdown of input and output tokens, and aggregation per user, group, or scope. You can also use the search, and you'll see a detailed breakdown of all the costs of all the teams that are using AI Copilot within your Appmixer instance. One great usability upgrade that we've also shipped this release is working with text fields. So whenever you have a text field where you have more text and it can be a bit difficult to work in this small format, you can click this expand button and you'll see a dialog pop up where you have much more space to edit larger pieces of text, such as maybe agent prompts, emails, or anything that you want to configure. Our last major upgrade this release is error handling on every step. So we've added error handling that you can set up on each step within the flow. So it's much more granular and allows you to essentially define your own error handling paths. So if you go into options right here and error handling, you'll see that you have a bunch of options here. So the default error handling is of course automatic retries, but you can choose to turn that off or define how many times it should occur. If automatic retries are disabled or they fail, then you can define what happens next. So you can stop the execution or stop the flow and save any error messages in our unprocessed queue where they can be processed later. Or you can define your own error handling path with a dynamic error board. If you choose this option and hit save, you'll see that the Slack now has a different output board for the error messages that occur. Now any path that you build from this error board, so I'll drag that here, and let's say I want to get a direct message on Slack, just informing me quietly that there's an error going on in this flow. So for the message itself, of course, I'll be able to use any data from within the flow, but also details about the error, such as error message, code, name, and the input that the component has used before the error occurred. So this way I can define any error handling options I need. So that's it for today's update. Now the new version is already available in our image registry for self-hosted customers, and for our cloud customers, we'll follow up with an email very soon detailing on how you can get access to this new version. So stay tuned in the coming weeks and months because we have, of course, more exciting stuff that we'll keep working on. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.